Hi. I'm Stephen Pannuto, and I'm here as a PhD student in the Department of English, and I'm here to introduce you to Access Uchicago. First, I'd like to thank everyone who helped work on this app, particularly Cornelia for organizing everything, and for everyone in Phase 2 who provided input from so many different ideas, from so many different perspectives that I had no idea to anticipate. And like my best teachers, they made my potential ideas into something that I'm proud of. I also specifically like to thank my team, Josh and Andre, and my programming and developing interns, Helen and Jamo, and also my sister, who helped me with some of the most visually taxing parts of the application and the Phase 2 deliverables, as well as Steph Ban, my co-collaborator and first-year student in the college, as well as all the students from the Registered Student Organization, the Organization of Students with Disabilities that I co-founded and am current president of. So without further ado, I bring you Access. Access Uchicago. The app makes accessibility needs visible and legible. You can easily view issues in favorite buildings, buildings where you live, where you work, where you learn. You can view all issues across campus to understand the experiences of other students, faculty, and staff. By focusing on issues in a public, shared way, Access Uchicago foregrounds a social model of disability. We often think about disability as something that happens to an individual, as if the problem of disability inhered in an individual's body, a body that needs to be rehabilitated or fixed, cured or pitied. Our app understands disability as part of the social body of the University of Chicago. Disability is a form of diversity, a form of difference, a way of being in the world, and a way of being in the world with others. Disability is social. With a few simple keystrokes, you can easily report an issue when and where you encounter it, whether or not that issue directly impacts you. And it lets other people know. Push notifications create networks of care. If you see something that will be an obstacle for your friend, it is easier to report that issue and share your knowledge with friends and strangers. In this way, reporting an issue becomes an act of care that builds community. Beyond things breaking, there's a space for imagining new possibilities. Each building page allows users to leave free-form comments about their experiences that are not directly or easily fixed, such as the absence of an automatic door entry. Access Uchicago creates a forum where students, staff, and faculty can imagine what we can do together to make this a more accessible campus. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about where the law has gotten us with a brief history. Students with disabilities at the University of Chicago face a challenging environment with many physical and institutionally sedimented obstacles to full access and equality. The Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law on July 26, 1990 by George W. Bush. The ADA is an equal opportunity law for people with disabilities modeled on the Civil Rights Act of 1964. 25 years after the passage of the ADA, there is still more work to be done at the U of C to ensure full access and equity, and the law is not enough, and here's why. While the ADA sets out minimum levels for compliance for the university has been slow to enact the full spirit of the ADA. 4 years after the passage of the ADA, a university provost is here quoted in the Chicago Reader as follows, quote, "We have walked through every building to review accessibility. I think we have already done what can be done to make all our programs accessible," end quote. The Department of Justice disagreed. When the GOJ conducted a random audit of the University of Chicago's compliance with the ADA in 2004, they found that even some of the university's new construction, such as the Max Pilevsky dorm, is faulty, noting problems with doors, restrooms, signage, and classroom seating. In 2006, the university signed a 40-page settlement with the DOJ to avoid litigation. All stipulations were enacted by late 2012. The University of Chicago makes headlines for the wrong reasons. When local newspapers such as the Chicago Reader and Chicago Tribune write about the state of disability and accessibility on campus, they portray the university in a negative light. There's a perception problem. There's also a reality problem. The reality is the best, most creative, highly qualified disabled students choose not to attend the University of Chicago. They choose our Ivy Plus peers like Yale and Cornell, and they choose them 3-1 over us. The graph shows here the percentage of students with disabilities on each of the campuses. Chicago is the lowest at 1.7% of the student body. Cornell is the highest at 5.5%. The number of students with disabilities is growing dramatically, as the second chart shows, at the University of Chicago and across the country. While Yale has experienced a 440% increase in students with disabilities over a 10-year period, the University of Chicago has had an extraordinary 250% increase. This is due in large part to the 25th anniversary of the ADA, which matters to colleges and universities, because it marks the first generation of students with disabilities who have received academic accommodations, equality and equity in education and inclusion from grades 1 to 12. These students are now choosing where to attend college. Access U Chicago addresses this growing and unprecedented demographic market. Access U Chicago matters here and now at the University of Chicago. It is here to change the perception and the reality of disability and access on our campus. Access U Chicago is an app that is, as an app, it is a sign that the university values disability as diversity. It's a sign that we think about disability with the same kind of rigor and excellence that we apply to all our studies and by which we are known the world round. The app will invite the brightest, most talented, most determined disabled students to pursue the life of the embodied mind at the University of Chicago. Disability impacts everyone. It's not what you think. It's not merely a person in a wheelchair. It's not just a person using a white cane. And by the way, there are not enough of them here. Disability is ordinary and all around you. We are all temporarily able-bodied. You could be a varsity athlete like one of my students on the basketball team who tore their ACL and be on crutches for 6 months. Your experience of campus will be much different. And the reality is that here, as elsewhere, most disabilities are invisible. Learning disabilities, neurological disabilities, psychological disabilities. What people are doing right now there's a facilities website that has lots of great features. There are some drawbacks, like you have to have a laptop, you have to be on campus, and we've worked with the facilities and they've been very open and we're very thankful for them. Our app builds on this, builds on the form and integrates it with their facilities database management system, Maximo. Currently, you have to interact on an individual basis with this. So as a mobile app, there are some upgrades in the user interface, such as an improvement in searching. So now if you want to find Weebolt, you have to go through the 600, you have to scroll down 600 buildings to find it. Our smart search bar allows you to find it quickly. There's now a toggle added. You can make an issue ADA accessible. So that helps both the student and facilities services to determine areas of need on campus. And the best thing that our app does is it makes reporting knowledge and active care. You're sharing your experience, and people are learning from you. So if there's a broken elevator, it's not going to impact simply you, it's going to impact many other people. And this is a way of distributing information. So I'll walk you through some test cases. Say you were an event planner. So these are simulated comments that people have left on on the building site for Classics 110. They're also real. They're things we encountered as our organization tried to hold a large lecture there. To our chagrin, we found that while it says it's accessible, it's very hard to get to the bathrooms on the second floor, and the doors are very heavy and you can't open them. So this space for comments is a way to raise issues, and it's also a way to solve problems. So we just held an open mic poetry slam on Memorial Day, and we found that we posted, that's really helpful to know that the doors are heavy. We had a person at each entrance, north and east, to hold the door open for everyone. And it's important that that's everyone. So as we say in disability studies, there's a difference between bolting on and building in. You can only bolt on so many solutions before the thing gets clunky. If you build in access for everyone, like, that's the way to do it. I'll show you very quickly what it's like to report a problem. So the elevator is broken in Bartlett Quad and submit. And then that has sent a push notification to people. So this is important because this puts information in people's hands. So like people like Karen LaTurner, Associate Director of Disability Services, or the Director of Housing. That information is in their hands and people are on the same page. Access Uchicago gives voice to the lived experience of disabled students. It makes visible what access looks like and where it becomes a problem. Access Uchicago is democratic and participatory. And our final use case is just learning from a diverse set of experiences. So, like I said earlier, disability is not exactly what you think it is, and neither is accessibility. So this is an example of some comments left on the building that reflect an area of diversity, a diverse set of needs. Finally, I want to talk about the future of Access Uchicago. Access Uchicago is delighted to be working with student government under the stewardship of the Organization of Students with Disabilities to fund upgrades to the app. Most importantly, a program that will collect the crowdsourced data to provide data-driven solutions to improve the campus part by part. You know, we're not going to make this campus fully accessible overnight, but Access Uchicago lets us know where to look and what to do, and most important, it values the lived experience of disabled students, because if you know anything about the disability civil rights movement, you should know the principle, there's nothing about us without us. Thank you.
So great job. I definitely identify with the problem. I was on crutches in a wheelchair for 9 months, and I had to get upstairs several times, so it would have been very useful to know when an elevator was broken or when I would need help. So I definitely think it's addressing a problem on campus. I just want to start out by asking, have you thought about rolling this out at other universities beyond the University of Chicago? Because it seems like a lot of the information is user-generated, so it would really just be about building the application interface and then rolling it out so that other universities could provide these resources for their students.
Absolutely. We want to work with student government this year to make this the best possible app before we move to that stage, because the application we've created could easily be white-gloved and sold to other universities, because all universities across the nation are having this problem, because this is the first generation of students who are coming to college looking for equity and equality. So there are record numbers, not only here in our Ivy Peer Pluses, but like state institutions, every college and university.
So how would a prospective student use this? There's a lot of data in there. How would they navigate or use it to think through their decision on where to go to school?
There are, in the settings, in the More tab on the far right, there's an opening for resources. So there'd be resources to connect them directly to student disability services, to show them not only the Organization of Students with Disabilities, but the Symposium on Autism and Neurodiversity, to show that like this campus is a campus where lots of students are interested in forming and making community. I think that's a large part of the reason people choose colleges.
Good, thank you.
So thank you for your passion around this issue. That came through loud and clear. It's great. I'm wondering, what do you think is the core of the problem, right? Is it a case of priorities at the university level? Are the facilities folks under-resourced? Are they not aware of where the issues are, or what are the most important issues, and sort of setting those up to be dealt with? Is it the sharing? What is the kind of core issue, and then how does the app kind of directly address that?
I think I pointed you to the Yale and Cornell, who have much larger disabled student populations, and that's directly correlated to executive level action and investment of money. And
So are you hoping to raise awareness at that level? Is that what this is targeted? I mean, is that the kind of key goal?
the key goal is to promote diversity and belonging among students who are here, and then the long-term goal is to shift the attitudes. There have been a number of BA theses that have tried to come up with answers to the question you've asked, and a master's thesis about like the culture of ability.
Yeah.
That I could also
Yeah,
show.
because I'm wondering about maybe a couple of other features. First of all, the ability to compare across campuses would be huge, right? If you had students at different campuses, maybe there would be, a way you could rank them on certain parameters, and that could be data that was shown then to, to the administration to get some action kind of started. The other thing I'm wondering, and you may have this, but if, for example, if somebody notices an issue with the building, the bathroom was on the second floor and the elevator was too small for my chair, that kind of thing, can other users vote for that so that all of a sudden we're saying, like 3,000 people thought this was a problem, now we need to do something about it?
Yes, absolutely. We want to work that kind of social sharing into the app. But as I've learned, you have to start very small in this.
Yeah.
And I think your first idea as well was an idea I had at the very beginning, create some kind of algorithm so you could have an accessibility score in the same way that you have a walkability score.
Yeah.
So you know which campuses are most.
Sure. So in the meantime, how are the facilities people using this?
Right now, this will be integrated with their system of record, Maximo. So this will be a way in which they can help prioritize things that are an issue for students immediately. And then also, it will be available in terms of capital planning. So say the Bartlett elevator, for example, is, breaks often, which it does. We could prioritize that and set aside funds for that.
So it's better and more accessible, user-friendly type of information than they're getting now with their website-based, go on and log something in.
Yeah, and you can look at your all issues page and see how long something's been a problem, or possibly we could figure out a way to make it interactive, so they could say oh, we're going to have someone out to fix that, and so you don't have to be angry about the thing not working.
Yeah, I think that's a really important piece of this, and if you're continuing to present it, I would definitely get the facilities people kind of on board with an agreement as to how they're going to use it. So they're going to see this information. What are they going to do that's different from what they might do without it? Because that, in turn, will drive more people to use it, because they're going to say, if I do this, something will actually happen. So I need to participate and make sure that my voice gets heard here.
But tagging on to that, I'm just wondering with the users who are already on it. So if they see the Bartlett elevator is down, is their behavior going to change? Are they not going to go to Bartlett? Are they going to contact facilities? How are they going to immediately resolve that problem? Does the app offer an option other than just the information?
If you're using a wheelchair and you're on the third floor, you're not going to go to dinner that night. Some of these issues, the app can't solve, but it can connect people together who can solve these problems.
Have you considered you use Maximo or the companies that provide these services, these systems that support work orders and trouble tickets and, reporting? Have you considered talking with them and having them be your distribution arm for this app and maybe adding it to their offering?
Yeah, we're delighted with the support of facilities, making Maximo open and available to us, and I think that would be a great avenue to pursue, to sell it back to database managers as a value add-on. But we've not started those conversations yet.
That's an idea. Well said. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.